let's get into. Let's just pull the band-aid off, okay?
Why is P5X the greatest Atlas game? Johnny, I believe you should start. I believe you're a big fan of it. Why do you love it so much?
That's the
I
sound of
don't
a
even.
man.
I really don't even think I have an opinion on it anymore. Like I like the combat, and I like
okay.
how ambitious it
Yeah,
is,
really?
but I kind of preferred the game when I couldn't read the story. I guess it is. There's just no kind way to say it. It is the lowest. It is a new low for Atlas. Genuinely,
Yeah.
I think Soul
I
Hackers 2 was
completely
like in
agree
a
with you,
similar
man.
boat, but this was you know, and it's genuinely a tragedy. Like, what do they do about this? Like, it's just universally panned, right? And
Well,
that is always going to be how, like, that's the most important part of these types of games. Your opening hours, they cannot go back and change it. There's no
yeah.
Sure.
retconning this.
I do agree, yeah. Like when I think about like the Persona series when it comes to their openings, like people like to say those games have a very slow start and long tutorials, which is admittedly true, but I think on a first playthrough they're still gripping and regardless of that, you know? Like
Yeah.
P5, like it opens up with that brilliant like scene at the casino, like you're running away, like you're wondering how the heck did I get here, right?
I
It's
know.
like super enthralling just from the get-go. And
Well,
I just
hey,
like
P5X rips all that off, so it's okay. It's okay.
well, yeah, but it's like not as impactful when it's like you have this Joker from Timu guy running about, and it's like, oh my god, he's like about to shoot Joker. That's insane. And then he wakes up, and then the game gets.
I think
really
something
boring,
that's
I
really
think.
understated too is some people have like tried to kind of conflate it and go, well, you know, just it's because it's P5 again, you know, that might be your issue. Not really. Like even within its introduction of like when P5 introduces its antagonist, I think it literally introduces Kamoshida, On, and Ryuji kind of all in the same scene. All of it's like much more compelling. Like you have On go into Kamoshida's car, and then she's kind of looks sad, and there's like, oh shit, is there something to this Kamoshida guy? What the fuck's going on here? Ryuji runs in, you know, screw that pervy teacher. There's immediately something of interest there, and then you go into the castle. Like there's already all these setups to make all these characters. Like there's something to them that you want to know about. P5X has what? Like literally, you talk to the Motaha girl in your classroom, and then the one girl, the black hair girl, stands up for you, and it's like okay. And then I think the subway slammer comes out at one point.
To play devil's advocate, you do see someone jump off a building
You do.
immediately, and no one react to it, which is very odd. You're like, what is going on here? This is not like real life.
It is. I don't really like how they're trying to do that theme though, because I think it makes a lot of excuses for some pretty stupid stuff later. But
Right.
but like even like comparing that, like if that's like comparable to the Shiho stuff, like we had a whole dynamic built on Shiho up until that point. So when Shiho jumps and On is literally right there watching it, that's like I feel fucking bad for
That's a call to
On and that
action.
shit, yeah. And then with the Shiho girl, she shows up, and then 3 seconds later she jumps off a thing, and it's like with the new Shiho girl. So I don't know. What
To
her
be
name is.
fair, you could argue it's like setting up something else, like setting up to show the apathy and only
It
really
is. That
at
is the
same
intent
time,
of it. But oh
it's
man,
like I think the apathy system in general is just really like poorly executed because like then it like makes it so like a lot like with P5 when it criticizes like, you know, as Yaldabaoth would say, the ignorant masses. It's significantly more interesting because at the end of the day it is their own fault too. But like in like P5X it's like a matter of like desire being like taken en masse, you know, it's like way less interesting when it's like they don't really have that agency. It's not their fault. I mean, it partially is, but it's mainly like otherworldly stuff, you know?
the way P5 kind of portrays society, I felt like was like pretty strong for a lot of reasons, but like when you're seeing the masses constantly shift between Akechi and the Phantom Thieves for, you know, basically bandwagoning whoever's more popular, and you overhear people in society like, oh shit, I want to support the Phantom Thieves because I hope they change my boss's heart, or oh my god, because it's so epic and cool, and I can sell merchandise of them because they're an anonymous group. All of these things feel like they're really indicative of how people can jump onto movements in real life, just bandwagoning onto things without even really supporting the underlying causes of any of them. You would think people supporting the Phantom Thieves would be a good thing because they are a force for good, but you start to realize that might not actually be the case because of how shallow society can be at stuff. When you make society so apathetic to the point that the subway slammer will literally attempt to murder a girl by shoving her over the train tracks in a pretty hilarious scene, to be honest with you. It starts to feel like it's like, what is this even saying? Like this obviously isn't indicative of anything that we can look at society in our real world and be like, oh, this is saying something. Like, not really.
Like the closest
And
thing is that like there are like subway slammers in real life, but they don't like attempt murder and get
well,
away
yeah,
with it
because
no one
because one of the
cares.
things the game does is it talks about how well he gets away from the police and stuff because people go to the police and they're like, oh, this guy's slamming people. Well, it's probably an accident or who cares, not that big of a deal. That is indicative of a real mindset. But the second you have him attempt to murder somebody with like a Bowser side B charged up fucking attack, okay, onto the train tracks, and then still nobody cares, and it's like, this is fucking stupid. Like, come on, like really? And are we really gonna say that our theme of society being apathetic is like that's the reason why nobody gives a like that? It just feels like at this point, like, what are we even saying? Like, the messaging just feels so vapid to me.
I agree.
That's kind of where I stand on the story. You have any thoughts, Johnny? I saw you say that the Subway Slammer was, well, I mean, you said in this podcast too, it was a new low for Atlas. How do you feel?
I was on TikTok and I saw this effing meme. So
Okay.
he slammed into Gojo and he effing died, which
Did.
that's never gonna happen.
Ooh.
So freaking already don't like this guy, so
I saw his
yeah.
edit, man, where he was like slamming like a ton of like really powerful characters, and that
Yeah,
really made
that
me
was
like
that was the
dude.
TikTok, dude. That was it.
Same one? Oh my
Yes.
god, that's crazy.
And I'm like,
dude.
this is so dumb. So I downloaded the game, and he's not even that strong, bro. What the frick? And he gets this like aura moment. He gains like aura, and then he becomes evil, which
his shadow like runs amok, man.
Yeah,
God,
and it's
dude,
like, bro,
it was
what?
awesome.
What? So it's not even. It's not even him. Is it truly even him doing the slamming
It's
with the
just-
devil
man.
on his shoulder? You know,
If
Does
that's
he
what
have
it's supposed to
agency?
be, that is, I do not like that
They go
idea
into it,
nearly
like,
as much as the P5.
That
He
is
has,
actually.
like, it's like weird. They have him. He has reasons like for his like quote unquote downfall, even though I think they're really shallow.
It's just stupid.
They're
Yeah.
stupid, yeah. Like literally, I'll explain it to you. Okay, I'm gonna try and be as nice as I can about it. Okay, even if I really think they're dumb. In his baseball career, I'm telling you Screen because he hasn't seen this stuff yet. You haven't, right?
I've
Screen?
seen
Only
the first. I've
podcast?
gotten far enough that I saw the first video where the 8-year-old completely mogs him at baseball, but I haven't seen. If there's more after that, I haven't seen those yet.
So there's two more. In the second one, he's like doing an interview and he's like drunk, obviously like in a bit of a depressive state because like he's upset he's not able to perform because he's in his slump or whatever. He basically like harangues this girl like he called up at this I guess the what do they call it?
club.
Cabaret club,
Yeah.
I think. And like he's drunk and he's like basically yelling, like making a mess of himself pretty much. And he has these two like people interviewing right next to him, and like one of them literally says right to the other's face, "We should like leak this story, man, like so we could like make him look ashamed or something along those lines, right? For the ratings or whatever." And that story does end up leaking as they say it will, and he ends up like the boss he worked for at the baseball studio gives him like a like an ultimatum saying like, okay, either you can like quit in disgrace or we can make up a story about how you got injured and have you work like at the business side of things. And after that happens, obviously the guy pathetic reduced, he's like, okay, fine, I'll work at the business thing and I'll go with the story you guys made up. He cries, gets down on his knees, and I shit you not, says, "Those damn women, they ruined my life. I need to show my power over them when they're helpless and all alone. Then they'll understand who's really in
Oh,
charge."
that's why he slams women in particular.
And that's why he slaps people on the subway. It's so like stupid.
I
Like,
always
just think
assumed,
it's
okay,
vapid.
because I assumed that if we were doing the same stories as P5, remember, and this is another thing that I feel like I didn't hit on, the Kamoshida stuff was effective. This is another reason I don't like the apathy stuff, is everybody, in P5X, everyone just is apathetic, and that's why they don't care about this attempted murder that happens in the subway. Like, okay, sure, whatever. In P5, it was a lot more effective because everybody around all the palace rulers had every incentive to cover it up, right? When Kamoshida was doing all the bad shit, it wasn't because people were, like, stupidly apathetic to literally anything. It was because the principal had a reason to cover it up to keep Kamoshida at the school. Obviously, there's a whole conspiracy thing for all the other ones. Like, there was always reasons. People were either oppressed, and that's why they didn't want to speak up, or there was incentive for them to not do so. So I feel like it didn't hit the societal themes on that perspective. Like, I assumed that what they were trying to do with him hitting women, in particular, I thought it was like, well, he has a position of power, over women by just being, I guess, physically stronger than the average woman, and that's why he's slamming them, and that was gonna kind of be the authority figure oppression thing, and I'm like, that feels way too general compared to Kamoshida, who had like a specific he was a gym teacher, he had specific, authority over his students and whatnot.
Yeah.
But okay, never mind. He has like some sort of hatred for women in particular because it was women who.
By the way,
Okay.
one was a little girl, and the other one was the woman who he was like harassing pretty much at the cabaret.
You know what? I'm gotta say too, by the way, some people are saying that it's because of the low stakes. I see P5X fans going, yeah, the stakes are kind of low, but I don't mind because it's not that the stakes are low. That's not necessarily the issue, okay? If this was all amazingly written and it was actually really, I'd be the #1 Subway Slammer defender, okay? I'd be out there in the trenches, like, actually, the Subway Slammer's fucking awesome, okay? But it's the fact that all of these concepts are executed so poorly that is why we've been so vicious towards it. I'll say this, it's nothing if not memorable. Him slamming people, that, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
You remember that, if not anything else, but, yeah.
I mean, the cutscenes look good. I mean, they're well animated.
They're well animated.
All right, yeah,
Yeah.
for what they are, yeah.
My
Opening's pretty
my
good.
kind of question though is, how did he know that was this? Was this? Did he just go into cutscene mode? Because like, how did he recognize that Motoha was the same person from the club? Is that
That's
I
actually
mean, the clinic, the baseball clinic, right? Like,
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. How did he recognize
I
it?
mean, he couldn't have. That was 8 years ago. Like, maybe she's she's not the only person with blonde hair in Tokyo.
True.
I would like an answer to that. I've DM'd Atlas, and we'll see what happens.
That is pretty true. And when he sees her on the subway, he's specifically like, it feels like anyways, targeting her because of who she is. So he clearly has some sort of vendetta, but they don't really go into him like stalking her or anything, right? So.
Is that the shadow that he's overtaken, telling him to do it? Who knows?
If that's the cop out, it's
Skills.
so fucking stupid. Anyways, though, like it's all. Like, even the Steelman arguments you can give for it, they're still so weak. It's just so...
Hey, what's the steel
Also,
man?
Like, you know what a straw man is?
The
Like
opposite.
the opposite, yeah.
Okay, see. Never heard that before.
Yeah, Screen just made that up right now. That's not a real thing.
What? It could be.
It is a real
I'm
thing.
kidding.
He's lying. All right, he's trying to hurt me.
I
think.
Lion Man argument. Dorothy.
They make him lust. They made him lust. What about him is lust? I don't understand. Like the only closest thing is that he harasses that one woman at the fucking the cabaret, but beyond that, nothing about his sins are necessarily lustful. I could see pride, I could see vanity, I could see anything.
I think there's one line that might imply it. I think there's something that says he gets pleasure out of it, and I guess you're maybe supposed to think it's sexual pleasure. But like, here's the thing: if that's the case, and I guess he is supposed to be lust, if you're telling me that's the case, right? And I've had other people say that too. Imagine, like, look at how much worse the imagery is in every way. The Kamoshida Palace, you were literally climbing on statues of, like, asses and whatnot, and there were, like, topless mannequin girls and shit. Like, it didn't pull punches with the way it showed that. What about his palace?
Harrowing.
What about his palace has, like, lustful imagery? But, I bet you, okay, at least is what I'm assuming, because it's a Chinese-made game first, and they have a lot of censorship laws around stuff like this, even the demons in the Chinese versions of the games are censored and whatnot, they probably just, I don't know if they literally can't do it because of how the censorship is there and whatnot. I don't know that much about the way it works there, but...
There's also Kamoshida's Palace in P5.
Oh, that's true, and... Yeah,
That's a very good point. I didn't think about that.
Is all that
Is it
stuff still
changed?
there?
I don't remember.
I have no memories of doing any of it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I did it in the Korean. I don't remember shit, but this was also like a year
Yeah,
ago.
so we'd have to cross-reference.
I'm gonna try searching it
Isn't
up.
this live? Someone in chat, check for us. Don't
Yeah,
lie.
true. Linkers.
What hit you?
Any linkers? Any big P5X defenders in chat who are really mad right now who can prove us wrong?
I'll say one thing.
Oh
Oh god.
sorry. I had my big hissy fit about it on Twitter. I'm like, this is bad, and I kept hearing the like same argument of actually this isn't bad because it's a Japanese thing, and it's like it can be both.
Yeah.
Like it's so frustrating.
No, I don't think
it's
anyone's
actually a
actually mad about
commentary
it.
on how unsafe it is to go on a subway, and it's like then it should be better written to highlight
exactly.
how big of an issue that
Like,
is.
no one's denying that it might
immature.
be based on something true, or thing. Like, I don't like the moving of the goalposts. Like, it's like, oh, it's because the stakes are low. Again, if the stakes were low, but it was well written, everyone here would be the #1 Subway Slammer defender, okay? But it's the fact that it's just not very well done.
Yeah, but I'm
I'm
It's
looking
like
through.
weird to
oh,
me
God.
that like
20K active users, so it's probably making good money. Who cares?
Well,
yeah, clearly.
that's
I
the
mean, it's just
problem.
like